I remember the moment when I saw his hand flying up in the air like this, as if he is saying bye to me.
Like, I was quite upset. I mean, upset is a very small word, I would say. Like, I was devastated, actually speaking, and he stood there like a rock,
I was devastated. I just didn't knew what's happening in my life.
He stood there and he said, he didn't actually try to pacify or, justify what happened,
I had never seen death so closely. And I was like, oh my God.
But he was with me, like, for my pain, he was there. And he said,
ज़्यादा शैतानी नहीं करते थे जैसे आजकल बच्चे करते ना। ये तो ऐसा है कि बच्चों में बच्चा बन जाता है, अपने बच्चों के साथ बच्चा बन जाता है, हमारे साथ हमारे जैसा बन जाता है।
He's a very genuine and a very loving kind of a person, down to earth and very, sometimes quite blunt, to the point, like.
My father is loving, caring, inspiring, angry at times. He's an happy person and he is very inspiring.
My father is loving, caring, acknowledging, angry sometimes, and religious person.
Hare Krishna, I am Neeraj Kapoor. I handle a business called Grow Brands worldwide. We are building India's largest startup consulting. Want to know more about me? Here's my story. I came to Bombay. That time it was known as Bombay, it was not Mumbai. Now we call it Mumbai. So I started my working career about 24 years ago. Worked in the best of the organizations, like my office was at Nariman Point. I remember one of the specific evenings, at about 1 o'clock in the night, I was coming home back. And it was a beautiful, full moon night, and the whole city was sleeping. And I was just walking on that road with, some illuminations, and like the dogs were barking on one side. And I was alone on the road, and I was just thinking, what am I doing? What am I here for? Is this my purpose of my life? What is this that I am into? And as I was walking towards the house, I got into a conversation with myself, and it's like, myself talking to myself. So something happened, in a manner that I said to myself that because I am here because I am comfortable. And then the next question came in, that is this what I am looking for? The answer was completely no. Is this the kind of life that I want to lead? The answer was no. And that time I remember, I just picked up both my hands, and then my hands went up in the air and just looked just at the moonlit sky, and I just said, I'm so comfortable at this point of time, I will never want to get out of this situation. So God, please, Krishna, please help me get out of this place. I got married in the year 1996, and finally we identified Meera Road as the place where we would be, which was fitting our budget. And this was way back in 96 end, so 97 beginning. As a married couple, I was there with my wife in Meera Road, and we were staying in a flat over there. Both of us were working, and then we started, to plan our family. And that was the time when we started to interact with the doctors over there in Bhaktivedanta Hospital. In fact, what I remember is first time when I heard that there is a temple over here. I remember, taking an auto with my wife, and we just went past a building, and it looked like a big temple. And I said auto wala ko, भैया 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 मंदिर आ गया, मंदिर आ गया. He said नहीं प्रभु जी, ये मंदिर नहीं है, ये हॉस्पिटल है, भक्ति वेदांता हॉस्पिटल. मंदिर आगे है. So it was like quite a revelation for me that a hospital can look like a temple, and it was very different, very very unique. So when we started to go there, the surgeons, the doctors, the nurses, everyone has a very different way of interacting. So it was more coming from some other world, some other planet. It was like, now I understand that, the people over there has a very very different intention. It's not just curing the body, it's not just taking care of the externals, but it is about internals. It is about the Atma Tattva. It's about the transformation, not just curing the diseases of the body, but curing the disease of the soul, the mind, that people are suffering over here. And that's how we started to interact with those people whenever it was required. And then our first child was planned.
And it so happened that our first child, he was born premature, and the doctors said that we are trying our best. I had belief, and I said to myself, so what if the doctors are trying their best? I am sure the child will be fine. And 2 days later, the child just passed away.
And he said ki it's something that we have both lost it, and you more because you were with the baby full time, like. So he stood with me, and he kind of just, his gestures, his soothing words, or the touch, when soothing me, like, was something really which I can't forget. And I mean, and when I used to pray to Krishna ki, Krishna, please, you need to give me a baby, like, you need to do that, like. So he used to, like, he said, Krishna, please, I've never come and asked you anything, but give whatever my wife is asking for, like,
What do I do now? And that was like a big blow to my belief. And here I was standing holding the dead body of my child, almost dead, heart of hearts. That's the time when I met my Shiksha Guru, Krishna Prabhu. He was one of the practicing surgeon in the hospital, and he had seen me in action over the last 3 days. And because I was enthusiastic about a couple of things, I saw photographs of Krishna around, and I saw people wearing this tilak. So I had also taken some initiative on my own, and I had some multani mitti at home. So I had applied a tilak. I made a tilak out of that multani mitti, and I had applied it, and then I was roaming around in the hospital and just speaking Hare Krishna to people around. And there he called me. What's happening? I said, this is what has happened, Prabhu. I don't know what to do. He said, that's how life is. Everyone who has come in this world will go away. And death is guaranteed. But do you know that your son has spent 100% of his life in Krishna consciousness? I said, I am sorry, what does that mean? And then he said that 100% of the time that he was in the hospital, he was admitted, he was hearing the Vani of Prabhupada. He was hearing Lord's bhajans, kirtans. And his life is already, certainly made. In his next life, he will go to the higher planets. And that was the seed of fructifying Krishna consciousness in an organized way in my life.
When people were coming and preaching, when Krishna Prem Prabhu was preaching to us, when he was quite patient and he was quite receptive to whatever he was telling us, and I was like, theek hai, fine, fair enough, nothing to look forward to, theek hai, it's pleasing, when what he's talking about the past times and everything. But then gradually I got into it, then it became a integral part of me. We started going for the counseling meeting. We started going for the Monday programs, and which were really, which gave us some path, something to look forward, towards our life.
Until that time, I was just having some faith, some belief, but no knowledge about the Lord. And when I started to study the books, when I started to follow the scriptures, when I started to follow the devotees, senior devotees, and I started to know more about Krishna. And that was the next level of my Krishna consciousness. And step by step, my pain eased out. I was feeling actually jubilant in the heart that the child who was born to me has actually given me the gift of Krishna in the real sense, which I have been looking forward for so many lifetimes. I had no idea about. And I started to thank the child. I started with an act of gratitude rather than pain or some kind of disturbance in my life. About a year rolled by. My wife was expecting. Here comes the news that as soon as the sonography was done and the medication was given, I was in another city working. At that point of time, just I got transferred. And here she was in pain and again admitted to the hospital. And the doctors, doing the sonography, say the child is not there. There is nothing inside. The womb is clean and we need to do a DNC.
When I was admitted to the hospital, and the incident happened, I was kind of really pissed off with everything around, people talking about God. Though I was from a family where, my mother is quite God conscious and she regularly used to do all the religious activities. So I was literally upset, why it happened to me, what have I done wrong, I'm also quite that way, quite religious, going to temple and everything. So I was quite devastated with the whole affair, but seeing my husband, who was more he was quite confident that what has happened for something good, so let's see,
Oh my God, that was that was like another blow to my life. I just didn't knew, but I had faith. I had faith with knowledge, with whatever my guru, my counselor, my fellow devotees had been sharing with me. Hearts of hearts, my wife was very upset. She was crying, and I told my counselor about it. He was kind enough. He left his practice in the hospital and said something very profound. That Mataji, Lord saved Parikshit Maharaj and Rakhe Krishna, Mare Krishna Rakhe ke. So why do you have to worry? And my wife was in tears. She was crying that, Prabhuji, why is it happening with us in our lives? The first child passed away, and here there was a hope that the second child is just about to arrive, and the doctors say that DNC needs to be done. Just for the layman, DNC is dilation and cleaning. It's like a medical term which basically means cleaning of the womb, so that there is no infections. And I had completely given myself in the hands of the Lord. He said, don't you worry, if the Lord is clear and if the Lord wants to save your child will live. Second day afternoon, as per the scheduled time of the operation theatre was put across, ready. My wife was moved onto the stretcher, put onto the clothes in terms of the operational clothes, again green in color, and she was upset. And the stretcher was made to move around from the room to the operation theatre. As the stretcher was moving around on the towards the operation theatre, there was a sonography room on the way, and the doctors, something happened that moment. The doctor said, let's do a sonography before the operation starts. What's the harm? So the stretcher was pulled in back, and again it was taken into the sonography room. There was a senior doctor, luckily, he just put a hand, tall fellow, he just put a hand on my shoulder and then say, "Son, how many children do you have?" I said, "None." And then he speaks to that concerned doctor. He said, "Dr. Chaudhary, I think barely I can see a fetal pole." That was a turning point. So Dr. Chaudhary, the concerned doctor who was supposed to do the DNC, he said, "So what do we do?" He asked. And the senior doctor says, "I think we should leave it to nature. Let the nature take its own course. Let's cancel the operation, the DNC." There was a miracle happening on the way. My wife was released that evening without any medication. Just a few instructions to take care of herself. 14 days passed away. Another sonography was done. And lo and behold, the child was alive in the womb.
So that was the first milestone when I was being released from the hospital without a DNC, which was nothing less than a miracle which happened. And that gave me some hope, some faith towards my life. So, but it was only the first point that that 9 months which was there, it was really that I had to be very careful. Every month then we used to go for the sonography and we could see that baby growing. It was a one step ahead, further going towards Krishna consciousness. Though I would not say the benchmark, but yes, it was like, kind of giving me lots of happiness. And so when Gaurang was there in my womb, I then started thinking, God intervened to help, to save my child. I'm a soul, who's not so, pious or anything, and that God has to come, Lord Krishna has to come himself, So it's the mercy of the Lord, and this boy, this kid is so precious. I need to do something for this kid. So I started chanting regularly. Though I was chanting earlier also, but it was like 6-7 rounds. Then I started chanting regularly, started doing my 16 rounds full together, and started reading lots of books and Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, and started listening to Gaurang Prabhu's lecture. We had the cassettes during that time, so I started listening to his Bhagavatam lectures, and I think so every day, right from the day we used to switch on the lectures, it's on. I used to read, paint Krishna's photos, pictures and everything, and the days were going finally, smoothly, and then the day Gaurang was born, 29 September 2001, and I had my lunch, and then I started having those pains. So I called Prabhuji, we need to go to the doctor, and he was in the office, so he came from there. But the thoughts which were going in my mind was all of the previous things which had happened, it was a similar kind of a thing. I was in pain and I was rushed to the hospital. So I was kind of happy and kind of having lots of anxiety, ki God save me this time. So we were taken to I was taken to the hospital and taken to the operation theatre, and Gaurang was born, And the first thing I asked the doctor, is the baby fine? Is the baby fine? I didn't even ask, is it a boy or a girl? I said, is the baby fine? Is he doing fine, the baby? And the doctor said, he knew my history. So he said, relax, everything is fine, and it's a boy, And I was into, they had given me those sedatives, so I was like a little hazy, my sight was a little hazy. So I said, please show me the kid, So I just remember a tiny little bundle of joy. And then, so after I think so 3-4 hours when I saw my son, with my full sense, I just couldn't thank less to Krishna and Radharani. They were so merciful that a miracle happened,
Today the child is 15 years of age. His name is Gaurang.
Every day, every morning when he comes to wake me up, he doesn't scold me when I don't wake up at time, and I feel that he's so loving and takes care of me and cares about my sleep also.
So Gaurang, as a kid, we used to take him to Radha Kunj Vihari. During his time, I was chanting and I was reading lots of books. So somehow Gaurang never did any masti of normal kid kind of. He would just come and pick up something from the kitchen and start to play like a mridang, and we had got little small kartals for him. So he would only want to play with kartals. So anybody coming to meet him, he say, "Ye bajao." And what I remember once, it was Radha Ashtami, and I think so Gaurang was some 2 years old kid. We were there at the temple. There was a big festival happening. So every time when Gaurang used to go to the temple, he used to take his kartala and he used to go and sit with the brahmacharis there, who used to do the kirtans. And since it was a limited time, we had to come back, So we were telling Gaurang, let's move now. And he was sitting in that brahmachari ka toli and he used to do the kirtan. He said, "No, I'm not." He said, "Nahi, mujhe nahi aana." He said, he refused, Twice he refused. So I literally dragged him, and I was walking towards the gate, to exit. And then he was yelling, shouting, I said, "No, I am not coming, you leave me and I don't want to come, And he literally went running back, running back to the temple inside and started again, he sat with the brahmacharis, And I think so that was a day, everybody started looking and, oh my God, this boy is running, and said, "Acha." So very next time when we went for the Sunday program, we had become famous, "Oh, you're Gaurang's parents," the boy was running all the way to the temple, So he was quite inclined towards Krishna consciousness right from beginning. And there were stories which I don't recollect that we had spoken to him when he was there, but he can tell you the whole story, when he is able to relate everything. So I really think whatever I read and whatever I heard, more than me, he grasped it. Gaurang was born with lots of difficulties and he was there making us happy. And then we get this news that I'm having a baby again, So I said, oh my God, Radharani is so merciful, And then we had her daughter, who was born some 4 years after Gaurang was born. And my husband says, she looks like Radharani, like Gopinath ji ki Radharani, she looks exactly like her.
When always he scolded, and afterwards he came back to me and said sorry and made me realize my mistake, and that time it was like he loved me the most and he was caring the most.
I'm really thankful to Krishna Prem Prabhu and his wife, who were like a support to us, like elders to us, Like initially, though we met Krishna Prem Prabhu as a patient and a doctor relationship, but he nurtured us, he never forced us into Krishna consciousness. He, in a very subtle way, preached to us, and which we were quite receptive. And I really remember his words. He said, "Rakhe Krishna mare Krishna rakhe kaun." So that was the only word he said when I was being taken to the, the operation theatre, and that is where the miracle happened. I think so. A pure devotee's prayer, prayers really helped me.
I'm so grateful to him. He opened the communication channels with me, and he supported me in my times of need, when I was almost at the verge of moving out of the faith and the belief of Krishna consciousness. He provided those answers which I have been looking forward for all my life, and maybe I don't know how many lives I have been looking forward for. He provided me those answers. He shared with me the real secret, the real wealth of knowledge of Krishna consciousness.
I really want to thank Neeraj Prabhu for their being in my life and being a support to me and taking all my tantrums.
Today I am glad to share with you, I am managing 2 companies. We operate in the domain of e-commerce, we operate in the domain of loyalty, we operate in the domain of CSR. business strategy, marketing and branding, and the domain is just expanding. A lot has happened over the years in my life. It's the faith that we carry along with us that makes those things happen. And that is what has happened with me over the last so many years. I still believe that I am still not a devotee. I am still trying to be a devotee. I am still practicing devotional service. That's, I think, is the right word. But I think there is some time between now to the time when I can call myself a devotee. I don't know when it will happen, but I just pray for your blessings. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.